I have just one question. How did he grow back all that hair? Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me. This is Melanie from Screen Time with Mel, and right now we're talking about the Winchesters Season 1, Episode 4. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so this is the episode with a little bit of a history lesson. And it also has a god in it, so that's pretty awesome. So we start out this episode with, again, it went with traditional supernatural. And it had a somebody in somewhere, looked like a hospital, and ends up getting killed by a guy in a mask in some sort of warrior uniform, and then slashed to credits, or the title scene actually. So as we get into it, we find that it was a vet who was in a psych unit, and he was killed. As they research it a little bit further, they can't figure out what exactly it is. They threw out a few things. They even mentioned a dragon, which that harkens back to a couple of one supernatural episode before Eve gets loose. So that was kind of nice that they did that. But they then come back around and they figure out, okay, they just need to get some guys into the hospital, somebody into the hospital to figure out what's going on. And since both Carlos and John are veterans, they decide they're going to go ahead and volunteer and get into the hospital and find out what's going on. As we get into the episode, we see where John is starting to just really experience some serious anger, which I think gives a little history of the John that we know from Supernatural. But he's still, there's some things at the beginning where he's still very Sam-like, but it kind of shows where that anger comes from, I think. So with him being a Marine in Vietnam. And this goes back to the first question I asked. My sister actually mentioned this before, because she watched this episode before me. She was like, how did Carlos grow back all his hair? I mean, it's only been a few years, and obviously he had to have a military cut, which is very, short. And yet now he's got these long, luscious locks down to the middle of his back. That didn't happen that fast. It's only been, a few years? I know for me, when I cut my hair to here, it takes me about 5 years to grow mine that long. And I don't have that curly of hair. My hair is relatively straight. So he's got some very wavy hair, and it's very long. So his hair must grow ultra fast. Because I don't think they have extensions back in the day. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. We do get into the episode, and it's some really interesting look into their individual histories and the trauma that they experienced during the wars. It's the Vietnam War. They experienced during that war, and I found it fascinating. Now, as we get through it, one of the guys throws a fit in group session, and then poof, disappears. And I found that fascinating. So he just disappears and nobody can find him. And as Carlos and John are looking around, they are finding some more information. They get sucked into this world that is this lush jungle area where they're searching around to figure out how to get out, and it's like a big maze. During this time, Mary is dealing with the loss of somebody who lived in her house, Maggie. Not really clear who Maggie is, and perhaps we'll find out a little bit more later, but don't know that she's a relative of Mary, just maybe a fellow hunter, and she ended up dying, as hunters often do, and she's dealing with that particular loss. But it's been a year, and she is looking, her and Lata, that's Lata is her name, go into the room together because they both knew her, and lots of their support for Mary. And they're looking through the room, and they happen to find an old book that happens to point them right to the creature that they were looking for, because convenience, right? Lots and lots of convenience. They got this massive library in the clubhouse that they found, but not a book about this guy. And of course it happens to be in this girl's room that they haven't been in a year, and poof, there it is. There's all the information they need. They find out he's a god. And during that time, while they're finding that out and they realize they need to go to the psych ward, they enlist John's mom to help to get into the psych ward because she's family, so she can get in to see John. So they get in there, and meanwhile, John and Carlos are in this jungle area, and Carlos steps on a mine. And that's how a buddy of John's, as you learn through his flashbacks, died in the Vietnam, and what he's so traumatized about. And he then is told by this deity that he needs, which is basically like, which is Mars, or the god of war. And he tells John, okay, well, John first tries to negotiate. He tells John he has to fight him. And John says, okay, we'll set my friend free. And this guy says, okay, you get first blood, and I will set your friend free. Meantime, the girls, the mom and the two girls, Latika and Mary, get to the psychiatric building, and they are looking for the totem. So they go and look for the room of this missing person. We come to find out this missing person was actually the god looking for contenders that could fight the Akrita, because they need strong warriors to be able to do that, because they are such a formidable foe. And that is the reason why he's chosen John to fight him. So they're fighting back and forth, and he's telling John, you're not using your anger, use your anger. And then heals him of all his wounds, is about to kill him when they break the vase, and poof, he loses his powers, and John kills the god, and then everybody's set free. And John's just covered in blood, of course. They all go, they leave, but the aftermath is John crying in the shower with his clothes fully on, still traumatized, and his mom seeing him. So that was a sad, poignant moment. And then they end the episode. So that's where we're at so far in the episode, in the season arc. I did enjoy seeing the history of this. I did find it very convenient that they found out about this particular monster and how to deal with them through this book that happened to be in this room. Just conveniently that they decided to look into in the same day that these guys are trying to figure out what's going on. So, but I did like seeing the history. I did wonder about, as my sister pointed out, the Carlos's luscious locks, but that's okay. I also, and maybe this is just me, I kept looking at the jeans that Carlos was wearing, and so mom jeans. And this may have just been a 70s thing, but I was just looking at him like, that is so mom jeans. And like his shape fills out the jeans in the same way that most moms that I know, they got the hips and a butt and all that stuff. But maybe that's just me. You let me know if you thought about that while you were watching the episode down below. So what did you guys think of the episode? Let me know down below. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning the history of the characters, because that gets me more invested in those characters, and I would like to see a little bit more of that instead of the surface level of who they are. So I did like that a lot. I did find it very convenient that they found out about who this creature was from this book from a room that they haven't been in a year. So that was awfully convenient. But yeah, I did like this. I'm still not feeling the connection that I want to feel with these characters, and I understand that we're just a few episodes in, but I would like to get that connection. And I'm hoping that I get that before the end of the season as we go into the next season. Because it does look like they've already been signed on for another season based on IMDb. So, yeah, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Let's have a conversation down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps out the algorithm, so I really appreciate it. And if you like all things TV, especially TV that's fantasy, sci-fi, supernatural based, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell so that you're reminded each time I come out with a brand new video. Thank you all so much for being here today. I really appreciate each and every one of you. You guys have an amazing day. Bye-bye.